Good morning. Riley and Van Gogh here, checking in on day number 12. And it is Tuesday, May 14th. So I didn't do a closing video yesterday, but my plans didn't change. So I think in the last video from yesterday I said we were on our way to Cold Spring Shelter, and we ended up making it there. That was at mile 125.4. So we actually ended up doing, I believe, 14.8 miles yesterday. I think we got to the shelter sometime between 6 and 7 p.m. And it didn't really, so the rain kind of held off between Wayabald and Cold Spring Shelter, but the fog persisted. So it was good that the rain held off. And when we got there, there were 3 other guys already there, and there was still room for Riley and I. I think if it was really necessary, we could have fit a 5th person in, but it would have been super tight. And there were actually like 3 other hikers that came by after me that they looked in the shelter and they didn't even ask if there was room for them. They just kind of figured it was already full, so they decided to go set up the tents nearby. But it was a good night last night. At least personally, I got a pretty good night's rest. I was very tired. Riley, I think, got a good night's rest as well. I was not cold. I was warm enough. As we were going to sleep, we all got into our sleeping bags early while it was still light out, and that was in large part just because I think we were all kind of chilly, and it didn't feel good to hang out around in the air. It just felt much more comfortable to get warm, get into our sleeping bags. So I was saying, as we were going to bed last night, it was still light out, and so the light was coming into the shelter, but everything was foggy, so all we could see was this little patches of green and fog all around it. Would have been cool if I had gotten a picture of it, but I didn't want to disturb any of the other hikers there with pulling my camera out. So Riley and I are pretty well rested. Riley's hiking well today so far. We just got off maybe half an hour, 45 minutes ago. This morning, while I was packing up, I had a few issues. So it turns out that I realized as I was packing up that I couldn't find my tent stakes. I didn't use my tent stakes yesterday because I was sleeping in the shelter, but I had pulled my tent out of my pack and just laid it on the shelter floor next to me. And I thought I'd done the same with my tent stakes, but just couldn't find them when I was packing everything up. And it turns out that the tent stakes had fallen. There's kind of like a thick round log at the very front of the shelter floor, followed by the planks of wooden boards that make up the rest of the floor. And while I was eating last night and feeding Riley, we were just sitting at the edge of the shelter, and somehow my tent stakes had fallen in a crevice beneath the round log and the wooden planks. And so, fortunately, another hiker suggested I check there, and got my headlamp out and looked down, and fortunately there they were. So I was definitely pleased about that. Rocky bulb. Very nice. But the other thing that happened is I seem to have misplaced my spork. I have a blue spork that has a spoon on one end and a fork on the other. And I was using it last night to eat my food. I made myself some oatmeal with grape nuts and raisins and dates and olive oil, and mixing it in with scoops of peanut butter, and I enjoyed it very much. It was nice to have something that actually was prepared kind of the way it's supposed to be prepared, in that the oatmeal and the grape nuts softened up with the water just fine, compared to the previous night when I was having the yellow rice mixture, which did not hydrate as I was hoping it would. So that tasted really good. I was pleased with that last night. But then I don't know what I did with my spoon. I mean, normally I would have just put it in my little bag that I carry it in and put it in my bear canister. But when I opened up my bear canister this morning to get Riley's food out, I went through everything and I didn't see it there. And I didn't see it anywhere in my pack. And I looked down in the crevices, didn't see that it had fallen anywhere. So I have no idea what happened to it. But I would rather lose my spoon than lose my tent stakes. Even if I had lost my tent stakes, it's actually not that big of a deal today, because I'm expecting to get to the NOC today, where the 2-person tent that I've ordered from Outdoor Vitals should have arrived by now, and that will come with a new set of tent stakes. So even if I had lost the tent stakes, last night is the perfect night to have lost them. In either case, I found the tent stakes, but I'm not sure where the spork is. So there is an outfitter store that I can go to at the NOC, and I'm sure that they will have a hiking spoon or spork that I can buy. Or I can also just probably get a plastic takeout spoon from one of the restaurants there. That's just as lightweight as, it's probably just not as durable as the spoons and sporks that are made for hiking. So, not a big deal. I'll be able to replace it pretty easily. And Riley is now out of dog food. But I do have 10 more pounds of dog food that we're expecting to pick up at the NOC. So that means Riley and I need to hustle to get to the NOC before they close today. We should have plenty of time, but we just can't dawdle with taking lots of breaks today. If for some reason we don't get to the NOC, then I will have to feed Riley oatmeal. And whatever else I can find in my bag. I have some instant mashed potatoes that I think he could eat too. But we should be able to get to the NOC today. It started raining shortly after I woke up this morning, and I was thinking that it wasn't going to be fun to start hiking, but fortunately it stopped shortly thereafter, and it's just been foggy this morning. It's warmed up compared to yesterday, so I'm definitely not feeling as cold as I was yesterday. But it's definitely not like, I mean, we're still socked in with all the clouds, and it's definitely not nearly as warm as it's been in previous days when the sun's been shining right through. So it's good hiking weather. All right, so that's our update for this morning, and we will check back in later on, certainly when we get to the NOC. We'll talk again later. Bye for now. All right, Riley and Van Gogh checking in. So we are making our way to the NOC. It's been light rain on and off, and right now it is just straight on drizzle. So we have our rain gear on, and I think it's mostly downhill from here. Pretty sure of that. We've already actually descended a good ways from the peak, and I just thought this would be a nice little shot here, because from our vantage point it seems like we're about to walk right off the side of this mountain here. That's our view there. So we're gonna take it very carefully. I'm gonna put the camera away and we're gonna get down to the NOC. All right. It's hard to see through the trees, but we are still on the trail, but we can actually see the NOC down there, and we can hear the traffic. And that was a very, very long climb down. But I am excited to be here. Yes! Hello, Riley. So it's been raining and drizzling the whole time, and we're both wet. We're not drenched because it hasn't been raining super hard, but we have both worked up an appetite, so we're gonna go get yeah, so much stuff to do. We gotta get Riley's food, we gotta get my tent, gotta go to the general store, gotta fill our bellies, gotta get Wi-Fi, gotta see where those power outlets. We might spend the night here. We'll see what our options are. So at least we're here. Check in later. Bye for now.